And that is much better. What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and 5-1 is a great result. And not just the result, but the way they played too, for the most part. There were some hiccups in the first half, where just watching was very frustrating. But just moments. It was a lot less than they've been having in the past few weeks. Even against Arsenal, there were a lot of defensive and offensive hiccups, almost costing the game at points. In this one, couple defensive hiccups, one led to the goal, and then there were several moments that just felt like they weren't pushing hard enough to, get that goal to win it. But then once Oscar got the second goal, from then on they kind of controlled the game. MK Dons did, push hard and try to get a goal back, but they did very well, I thought, in just kind of keeping it not, they kept it safe. They never looked like they were going to be torn apart in the back. But let's go through it piece by piece. Starting from the back, Courtois, I thought, did well. It didn't really have many saves to make. I thought he could have moved his feet a bit more on the goal, but that is a difficult one, the deflection that loops up over, especially if you're not ready for it. And it's on one side, it's going to the other. It's hard to move your feet all the way to get there, but he did kind of stay rooted and just reach for it instead of going after it. But didn't really have a whole lot of other saves to make after that. But when he did make the saves, he made the saves. Ivanovic, I thought, still just not doing well enough. And this is against MK Dons, a championship side. And for that matter, not that great of a championship side. I mean, I don't want to disrespect another team, but they didn't look all that good. They did not create a whole lot of chances. They didn't do much coming forward, but for some reason, Ivanovic is still getting beat by the wing player. Like, cut, he's past Ivanovic. If you're getting beat by a cut, you don't need to be a defender. So I don't know what needs to change, but something needs to change because he's not doing well enough, especially to cut it in the Premier League. You think about all the strong teams in the league. If you're not doing well there, we need to find a replacement, and fast. Terry and Cahill, solid game, I thought. Cahill still has a couple of moments where it just is very scary to watch, because he gets caught out of position a couple times where he goes flying in, and just it's very scary sometimes. Thinking you realize if they beat you, it's just Terry, and he doesn't have a whole lot of speed. But overall he did pretty well. And then Terry, just always a solid foundation in the back, doesn't get beat. Baba, I thought, did okay. I think he's a better offensive player than he is defensively. Defensively, his tackles still aren't strong enough. Guys are out muscling him to get past him. But when he does get the ball up top, he does very well with his crosses, with the passes that he finds. He does very well there. So I feel like maybe before he gets the strength, maybe start him more as a wing back if you can. Maybe switch up the system a little bit, go like Zuma, Terry, and Ivanovic or Cahill as the back three with Baba as more of a wing back, going up and down, and Willian maybe on the other side. Or Spilicueta, that would work too. But as far as a fullback, he's not strong enough to be in that position just yet defensively. Offensively, he does okay. He's quick, he's fast, he gets past players and crosses the ball pretty well. Going up to midfield, a little bit stranger from here, as far as the choices at the beginning of the game. Because in the back, no Zuma, no Espilicueta, we're saving him for the game against Watford. Understandable. But then you go into the midfield on, forward. Aside from Loftus-Cheek, everybody else is a starting player. Fabregas and Matic, who both played very well in my opinion. Matic had a couple moments defensively where he's still looking just a little bit off. Um, like when you think about Manish from last year, nobody got past him. He was just shutting down everything. In this game, there were a couple moments where he looked like he's diving into a challenge or he's late to react. He's getting beat. Fabregas, he's finally hitting those passes that we want him to hit, and it almost makes me forget about all the dumb passes that he's given away possession, or the fact that he doesn't tackle very well, and one of those missed tackles led to the goal. Um, but he did, he was creating chances, and that's the Fabregas that I want to see. The difference is this year Matic is not doing as well defensively. So last year Fabregas was not the best defensive player, but we didn't notice because Matic was so good defensively. He kind of covered whenever Fabregas made a mistake. So with this year with Matic not doing as well, we're starting to see more and more that Fabregas is a terrible defensive player, and nobody's covering for those mistakes now. So that's where the issue needs to be fixed. Either he needs to get better defensively, or Matic needs to go back to doing what he does best in just shutting down the midfield. Because I'll talk about the goal really fast. It all started from a ball not cleared very well. Player picks it up. Fabregas could get there and meet him on time, but instead of going into the challenge, he just kind of sticks a leg out and the guy pokes it past him, and then ball back across. Matic is slow to react, so he comes out, deflection, unlucky, and then goal. So it's a mix of those two not being at their best defensively, but overall, not too upset about it. But like I said, very strange to see them starting, knowing that we have a game. I think it's on Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, and then going into the attacking. Loftus-Cheek starts, which is good. I want to see more of him and Kennedy. I don't know if he was injured this game. He wasn't on the bench, so maybe he's struggling with an injury. I'm not sure. But you got Hazard and Oscar, which once again, I understand Hazard because he is returning to fitness after an injury. You want to give him some game time, preferably before he just comes right back into the Premier League. And against MK Dons is a good one. It's a good place to build your fitness, and two, it's a good place to build your confidence. Not as difficult a side to play against, so he's able to do more stuff that he likes to do, like take on players, and he has a bit more time to find the passes. So it is a good place to bring him back from injury. Oscar, I don't know why he keeps using him out wide. I would have preferred to see Pedro, maybe Willian. If you're gonna do the same thing you did pretty much with Oscar, which is put him on and take him off in the second half, but I don't know, just those two. It was strange to see Oscar, not as strange to see Hazard, but Loftus-Cheek is the one that I wanted to see for sure, and then Costa up top, which we just brought in Pato, so and I'm going to talk about the two transfers that just happened after I'm done talking about this game. Costa up top, I thought did well, got himself in the right position. Still not, well, I'm not going to say still because he has been moving very well in the past few games, but in this one, he wasn't moving as much. Maybe it was just because, lower opposition, maybe not taking it as seriously, I'm not sure. But there were just moments where it felt like, move for the ball. Like you're just standing and watching. Move, do something. But that was mainly in the first half. In the second half, once it became 4-1, it became a bit more easier to move the ball around. And then once it was 5-1, it was like, even if they weren't moving, I didn't really care. It's 5-1. We're up 4. That's okay. And then as far as the subs go, Bertrand Traore came on at striker, which I wanted to see because he's only been used as a wing since Mourinho this year was only using him as a wing. And so I wanted to see him more in his natural position as a striker. And I thought he did well. He's got a lot of pace on him. You could see that. Needs a bit more of a touch and just a bit more of that knowledge of where to be and when. He got himself in a good position for his goal, which was great. Love to see him get a goal. but you could tell there were moments where he's kind of lost on where to be, where to position himself. So maybe playing him a bit more in that position, it'll help him to learn where to be. Um, and then Willian and Pedro came on for Hazard and Oscar. Like I said, resting for the game against Watford. That's fine. And they came on, did pretty well. Although this is the one thing that I've noticed. There are several things that have gotten better since Mourinho left, and I think that was kind of down to player attitude, just the lack of respect between player and manager, all that stuff going on. You can tell that the spirit at the club is lifted since since he left. But the one thing that got worse are Willian's free kicks. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but ever since Mourinho left, Willian's free kicks have dropped off. Like they've been over the goal, they've been hitting the wall. Even his corner kicks are not as good as they used to be. Like they're too, at the first defender. I don't know. It's so because he's not playing any worse. He's still playing well. It's just his free kicks have dropped off, and I don't get it. Like, why of all things have his free kicks dropped off? They've just not been focusing on it as much. Maybe I don't know. But it's kind of weird because he had two pretty good chances at a free kick today. Just right outside the box, perfect positioning for him, both of them. And the first one just drives straight into the wall. The second one is right at the keeper. Too far for anybody to even get a touch on it or pretend to, so the keeper misses it. So I don't know. It's just something I noticed. And then as far as each of the goals go, the first one, good positioning from Costa and Oscar. Second one, nice assist from Loftus-Cheek. Good to see. Oscar, good placement. And then third one, all Oscar. And just drives it in, finds that back post. Fourth goal, Hazard doing some of the stuff that he did so well last season. Driving at a player, taking it past him, and the player, ends up. At first, I thought he dragged him down, like pulled on him, and the referee took a second to call it, and I was like, "What are you doing? It's a penalty!" And he calls it, and then I got to see the replay. No dragging, but he did get a foot on the back of his calf, and then he steps up, finishes it calm, cool, collected. Nice to see him finally get a goal after so long, and nice to he played pretty well today too. That was good to see him moving a bit better. His passes were more accurate today than they have been, and he's just he's moving a bit more spirited, I guess is the right word. So overall it was a good game. Like I said, a bit strange on the choices. I would have liked to see maybe a bit more youth on the bench or injected into the side because Bertrand Traore and Loftus-Cheek were the only two really, are youth players if you think about it. Baba Rahman and Zuma are kind of, Zuma's pretty much a first-team player at this point, and Baba Rahman is kind of like a backup because he's the third fullback we have. So I would have liked to see maybe one more youth player make it on the bench for today. I don't know who, but I keep hearing about these youth players and how well they're doing on the youth squad. I heard there was so much talk about bringing up this one youngster for the Arsenal game. He's not on the bench, so I don't know. I want to see a bit more of that, and this was, I thought, a good chance for them to do it. Now, that's my review of the game. Good job, looked good. Glad to see that they were playing well again. And the main difference that I have between this game and the game against Scunthorpe is that against Scunthorpe, one, it was at home, and it was only 2-0, so that was something. This was away. But they didn't look solid against Scunthorpe. Scunthorpe really took the game to them, and they looked like they were struggling under the weight of the pressure, the high press. Today, MK Dons didn't really do a whole lot to put pressure on them, but when they finally did, they looked, Chelsea looked calm, and they looked like they had possession easily. So that was nice to see. Now on to the transfers. Alexander Pato. A few years ago, I would have been mind blown at this transfer. I would have just been, hopping up and down, cheering like yes, because a few years ago he was amazing, and I remember hearing all about it. But he has been riddled with injuries recently. Kind of similar to Falcao. Falcao used to be really great, and then injuries kind of set him back. At Man U didn't really get a whole lot of playing time, and that set him back. So to be honest, I haven't seen. He's been playing. Pata's been playing with Corinthians in the South American League, so I don't really know, or maybe it's the Brazilian League. I can't remember. I don't know exactly where his level is right now. I know he's not as good as he used to be. Like, he used to be just incredible. But hopefully, coming to this club, he has a chance to get that form back. Playing around a lot of other great players will give him a chance to kind of find that form again. And hopefully, he's the type of player we're looking for. And, right now, you think about it, we have Costa and then Remy. And Remy's not been playing too well. Then Traore, who barely gets a chance, finally got a chance today. So it's nice to see that we're bringing in another quality striker. And then Matt Miazga from New York Red Bulls. Bit of an interesting transfer. One American youth player, which, a bit of country pride, I guess, is nice to see. But at the same time, I haven't heard a whole lot about him. And that may just be because I don't follow the MLS very much. But it's kind of a gamble. And maybe I need to go and watch a couple of his games, like from the MLS, or watch some of the stuff that he does. But you think about the MLS, and then you think about the Premier League. First of all, it's a lot more rough, a lot more tough. And I'm not saying that MLS is not, like, tough, but over in England, it is. You have to be very strong. Like, look at talking about Baba Rahman. He's not strong enough to make it yet. So there's a much higher level of physical fitness expected there, and just the fact that it's a tough league. Like, you don't have any games that you can just throw him in and be like, okay, so this is an easy game to take. Even today against MK Dons, it's not exactly an easy game. They still had most of their starters out there, and if you take an opposition too easily, you have the chance to be upset. In the Premier League, unless it's like Aston Villa or Sunderland, there really are no upsets, because any team, and to be honest, even Sunderland is starting to play a bit better now. Any team can beat any other team on any day. That's the type of league it is. And so it's going to be hard for them to go, okay, well, this is an easier game, so we'll put Matt in. No, it's not going to be that easy. I wish him the best, and hopefully he becomes a top-level center back, not just for Chelsea, but for the U.S. as well, because we need better players. But to go to Chelsea, maybe he'll get a chance to play for the U21s and get a chance to build himself up there before he gets into the first team. But I don't know. We'll see. But for right now, I just think it's kind of a strange transfer to get. If we got him when he was like 17, that's completely different, because then he's in your youth program and he's working with your youth team and eventually gets old enough to be on your main squad. But we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's good. Let's see. Ramirez, confirmed transfer. I wish him the best. Everybody's been talking about it. I will never forget his amazing goal against Barcelona. And he's always been a very duty-filled player. It's hard to describe, but he always worked so hard in the midfield. He was a runner, and I was kind of sad to see him go, but at the same time, I understand. He hasn't really been involved in the first team much, and when he did come out, he wasn't playing up to the standard that we needed him to play. And the fact that we were able to sell him for such a good transfer fee, that's good. And then there's been talk, I think, of Remy getting a move to Leicester. So, if we can get a good price for him, he hasn't really been what we needed right now. He hasn't been playing up to the standard of what we need when he finally does get on the field. And then the final transfer news to talk about is Bamford getting a loan move to Norwich. I hope it goes well. Bamford has been one player that I've been hearing about. You know, he got top goal scorer last year for Middlesbrough, and so he's been talked about. You know, with the lack of striking options this season between just Costa and Remy, he was the player that kept getting mentioned before they brought in Falcao. But he moved to Crystal Palace, and I gotta be honest, I don't think that was the right move for him because Crystal Palace are a team built for the counterattack. They've got so much pace that they're not looking for a target man striker. They're looking for a quick striker, like what's his name, Balassi. And so I just don't think that was the right club for him to go to. Maybe he'll do okay at Norwich, but I feel like they're kind of a counterattack team too. Like Jerome, I can't remember his first name. Cameron Jerome is the striker that really stands out at their club because he's quick, and so they push the counterattack forward, and he's gone. But then again, I haven't seen a whole lot of Norwich games. But the ones that I do see, it seems like they're relying a lot on the counterattack. But hopefully we see something else from him because from what I've seen so far, just watching the couple of games he made it in at Crystal Palace, he doesn't look like the level we need right now. So, but that's all there is to talk about. Hopefully, we can get a fullback in because that is desperately what we need right now. We need a fullback who can come into the first team and take Ivanovic's spot. We really need that. But until the next game, let me know down in the comments what you thought of this game and who you think we need to get in the transfer window. And if you say Lavezzi, I will punch you because I heard about that and I said no. Leave a like and subscribe for more Chelsea content, and I'll see you at the next game. Peace out.